We mentioned that poll and the poll putting it at 18% of Netanyahu's own party would like him to stand down. What do you make of that?
Well, this means that it remains to be a relatively low percentage. I mean, again, the right-wing camp in Israel, they are very aware that if Netanyahu gets to resign, this would cause a problem for the entire right-wing project. I mean, we've already seen Mr. Ben Gvir, the Israeli National Security Minister, has resigned, but the Israeli Finance Minister, Bezalel Smotrich, decided to stay in the cabinet, even though he voted against the ceasefire deal. Because, again, opinion polls in Israel, they clearly show that if Smotrich gets out of this current government, his chances to get into a new government is going to be very small, because the party is not even going to reach the threshold high enough to be able to enter the Israeli parliament. So actually, this is one of the challenges that's facing Netanyahu, how to keep this coalition together and to prevent its collapse, because again, the conditions have changed. It's not the same circumstances that existed when the current government won the elections in late 2022. So, pardon, late 2022. So it's a different situation right now. I agree with Dr. Ashraf from Ramallah about the pressure that's being practiced by the new American administration. I mean, again, there's no question that the Trump administration is one of the most pro-Israel, pro-Zionist cabinets in the recent U.S. history, considering the figures that are members of this government. But obviously, Trump, like many other world leaders, have had enough with the tricks being practiced by Netanyahu. And we've already seen signs from Trump, despite his strong support of Israel, saying it's their war, not our war, and that he does not necessarily support this continuation of endless war in the Gaza Strip, in the West Bank, or in Lebanon, because obviously the new American president is looking for new deals, is looking for improving relations with key Arab partners such as Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Egypt. We've already seen Saudi Arabia pledging to invest over $600 billion in the U.S. economy, and that, again, Saudi Arabia might be the first Arab country that Trump might visit after taking office. So, I mean, these are all indications that if Netanyahu is going to be a stumbling block in the face of those kinds of wide-scale plans by Trump to get investments for the U.S. economy, probably the United States has enough leverage to be able to pressure the internal Israeli political scene into ousting Netanyahu and looking for another prime minister. But again, let's not minimize the rising influence of the right wing in Israel. They continued to win elections over the past 20 years. Unfortunately, the opposition to the Israeli prime minister is not as strong as many would expect. Benny Gantz, when he resigned from the government, this did not immediately result in the collapse of the Netanyahu government, and the same for Eisenkot, or even the Israeli defense minister, Yoav Gallant, when he was fired. This did not actually lead to the fall of the current coalition in Israel. So again, I mean, let's not underestimate the ability of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to survive. And this is actually one of his kind of main characteristics that he prides himself in, that he can always overcome political difficulties and make maneuvers and make new alliances or make new deals that will continue to keep him in his position. Of course, the situation right now is different because of October 7 attacks, because of the situation of the Israeli hostages and how the deal is going to be carried out. But we're still not certain that Netanyahu will disappear from the political scene, as many of the opinion polls have previously shown, but he managed to defeat those opinion polls and continue in his position.
That is true. Like a cat with 9 lives, he always manages to get through, does he not, Professor Oka? And also, when it comes to the fragile ceasefire in Gaza, how might that impact Netanyahu's decision-making?
I think that the truth is very important of its formulation, regarding its formulation and its phases. And the Israeli families were requesting to the necessity of executing the truth in one phase. And there is always concern that the process wouldn't consume our, and due, and that's why we've seen a demonstration, particularly the three phases, and will be in create some sort of direct criticism for Netanyahu and how to tackle the crisis or the file of the detainees. And we've seen the argument about the detainees, Irbel Yahud, and taking the protesters, trying to affect their sentiment on how to manage this issue. As the Netanyahu's administration is trying to affect the nerves and the sentiments of the Palestinian and the Israeli. But I do not think that the truth is taking a long time, full of details and complexities. But I'm fully confident that our brothers in Egypt have built this deal that won't allow anyone to sit back. But the process of the releasing the detainees would complete in the first phase till the last day. That would we might see in a direct criticism and protest. In addition,